Hi, Gary with AmazeStudios.com here, and if you want to learn about the ultimate multicam setup for on-the-go situations, then watch this video. Hey, Gary Cruz with AmazeStudios.com here. If you're new to my channel, I cover live streaming technologies, and today I'll be reviewing and covering my Yolobox Pro setup. What I like about the Yolobox Pro is that in a compact size, you can have multiple cameras set up on one device without having to bring your laptop. Now this comes in handy for events where you have to be on the go. So for example, I did a funeral live stream where I had to start off in the church and then head out to the burial ground. And I just don't have enough time or the patience or the strength to haul around a huge ATEM rig like this. So in this case, we have this. As you can see, it's on this Sackler Flowtech 75 tripod and this FSB. What I learned in one of my recent events is that when I used a smaller tripod, whenever I was tapping on the screen, the movements of that was transmitted to the camera, and so it was really hard to get a steady shot. Now, the other thing too is that since it was connected to the legs, it was just amplifying that through the body. Now with this setup, I've got a camera rig here so that everything is self-contained on rails with the camera. So for example, I can actually take this off the tripod by unscrewing this and popping off the base here, and everything comes with it. Now the LAN cable is still connected, but you can see everything is all self-contained on this rail unit. Now I'm gonna say it's not very light. Let me go ahead and rebalance this now that I have this on here. So you can see that it's a little bottom heavy, and let me just go ahead and scoot it up a bit. Once I dial in the drag, this is really smooth. And that was another disadvantage of my lighter cheap tripod. Even though I really wanted portability and lightweight, it just does not translate into steady shots. So the other thing too is it's really important to have lane control. Not only do I have pan and tilt, but I can zoom at the same time with really smooth movements and control using this setup. And as you see, that I also have control of the other camera, which is on a gimbal. I've used this multiple times, and the way I get that HDMI into here is with this Teradek Spark 4K. And I'm controlling that gimbal with this iPhone, and I can also see what's on the screen. So for example, if I switch to this and turn on Force Mobile, I can control the other camera. So you can see as I'm going up and down, it's controlling that camera for even smoother movements on the gimbal. But let's say if I still want to have control over this local camera and the gimbal, all I have to do is switch it from Force Mobile to enable joystick. And now I have independent control of that camera using the joystick on the iPhone. So I can go pan, and I can also control the zoom. I don't have the remote control unit on here, but this controls the zoom on the remote camera using a remote control unit. This entire rig is powered by the FX Line Nano 2 98 watt-hour battery. I've got a USB out that's going into the Sony PXW camera, and so it'll power that camera, and once that is running out, it'll also use the built-in battery, so that's over 4 hours itself. In fact, this entire rig can be powered for over 4 hours using this one battery. With that, I also have this D-tap going into this USB splitter that has USB-A and USB-C, which powers this Teradek Spark 4K and this Teradek VidiU X for bonding. Here it is at 4 hours and 25 minutes. Now look at this one. This one has a warning here. So why not just use the built-in streaming capabilities of the Yolobox? You can also do bonding on the Yolobox with side loading and apps such as I forget what the multi-bonding, but you have to basically jailbreak Android, and I'm not that comfortable with it. I'd rather keep this box dedicated to streaming and then using a dedicated device for bonding, which is the VidiU X using the ShareLink service by Teradek. All right, so what else do we have here? So we've got the LAN controls, we've got the remote control. So we have the Teradek Spark 4K that adds a wireless camera that also does pan, tilt, zoom. We can also remove that. So if we take a look at this camera, not only am I a one-man show with using this camera, but if you have a second camera operator, they can grab this and get up close action with any of the participants if your event needs that. This NPF 970 battery, which is a Sony battery, is hooked up to this small rig battery adapter, and it powers or charges the Yolobox. And again, like I said, well, I said that this entire battery does this. Let me take that back. I have an additional battery here that powers just the Yolobox alone. It'll charge that to 100% and keep that to 100% until this battery runs out, and then the internal battery takes place. My camera here is a Sony PXW Z90, and the reason why I chose a video camera is because of long form events, let's say funerals or school events or sporting events. The capability of using link while panning and zooming is really critical. And also I don't have to worry about the configuration of different lenses. This just never overheats and does a really good job for those long form events. Now you'll notice that I've got a green light on here. This is my tally light that I'm testing out with my ATEM. So if I switch over to my desktop here, I'm not using ATEM in this case, but I'm just testing out tally lights just to give you a preview. So for example, if I make this one live, it now turns green. And if I take it off, if I make this live, it turns red because it is live. And as we pan around, you can see that I've got a Verizon modem. It's being held by the small rig phone mount, and it's pretty secure. It's not going anywhere. And when I turn this on, this acts as another device to bond to the existing network that I have on the Teradek VidiU. So let's go ahead and turn this on and take a look at what that looks like. While this is booting up, I'm going to switch over to the VidiU X. This is the web interface into the VidiU X, and you can see that is taking the video out of what I see on the back of the Yolobox with the two cameras of HDMI 1 and 2. If I toggle this program out, then it will show the program out. So that's the camera 1, which is the camera that's on the rig. And if I click on HDMI 2, that's going to be the wireless camera here. So let's actually pan this around. All right, so that's the second camera that I'm controlling wirelessly. Now you can see that it is fairly slow in terms of the refresh. That's not affecting the overall stream. This is just a preview of what the software is getting. But if I switch this over to the iPhone and take a look at the iPhone, there's also an app for the VidiU. I can go ahead and load this up, and you can see a preview on the phone as well. And then if I go to network and we take a look at what's connected, you can see that Wi-Fi is connected. The modem is not connected for some reason. It should be. Oh, I know why. Because it thinks the battery is charging. I have to select USB and Wi-Fi, and that should now become a data source. Also, if I take a look at the bottom, it says link phone. It's going to say an error because it's not in access mode. Please add some channels to the dashboard. Oh, okay, so let's go ahead and add some channels here. Let's go to streaming. Okay, the reason why there's no destination is because it says to add some channels on the dashboard. So if we go over to the ShareLink website, on my VidiU X, it says add channel. So I'll go ahead and add channel. Oh, I have to create a new channel. Interesting. Add RTMP, and this is where I can add my YouTube information. I'll go to YouTube Studio and the Go Live section here, and this is where I can copy the URL. So this one's going to be, I'll just call this my Amaze RTMP. I have one, and then this is the URL, and let's go ahead and add the stream key as well. I'm going to have to blur that up. Now if I go to my video sources and I click on Add Channel, I can then select my Amaze RTMP, and that now becomes available. So if I take a look at the VidiU X and look at the status here, the modem, oh, the modem is actually working now. Funny. So it's sending 2.2 megabits per second over the modem and also my Wi-Fi. I can also add any multiple cell phones to this. Bot is using data from the phone through the app to then act as another Wi-Fi point. One thing I forgot to note is the importance of this YC Onion rig or cage for the Yolobox. These are secure, meaning that the power is not going to come out, the HDMI is not going to come out, because we've got these bolts in there that keep the cable secure onto the body itself. So I would highly recommend investing in one of these cages so that none of these accidentally popped out. You want to keep it in mind of cable management as well. I try to strap everything down because the last thing you want to do is have something get snagged while moving around very quickly from location to location. In fact, I had this turned around where the USB ports were exposed here, and that also was at risk of accidentally being popped out. So I turned that around so that the USB ports are now pointing inside. That reduces any chance of anything getting snagged. Again, here's another USB that's powering the tally. On the back here, I've got this USB that's going to this, that goes to the modem, and I've got the HDMI out and the power that's coming from the splitter. The camera itself, the iPhone controls the camera rig over there. So here's just another example. If I switch this over to Force Mobile, I can control the movement of the camera. You can see it painting along. And it's very smooth. If I enable joystick control, I can now just point with my thumb, and I have very smooth movements with using the pan, tilt, zoom, using the iPhone. Well, the zoom is on this remote, so I can go wide and telephoto using this remote, and I've got that secured right on this. I'll reserve the review of the VidiU X in another video. I really just wanted to cover the Yolobox Pro on this camera rig because it really solves the problem of how do I transport this without having to connect and disconnect a lot of these devices when I'm on the go. What I can do is as you saw, when I can take off the rig itself and then transport the legs separately and then put this in a separate bag and run and gun with that. And then that setup over there is relatively light. I can do the same thing, take off the tripod legs and also take off the top part and transport that separately. And I can do that as one person. I'll overlay some footage on that on the video. This is really great for a one-man run and gun show. Because not only that can I control this camera 1, but I can also control camera 2. If you want to learn more about this, check out the links in the description below. Hopefully this quick overview of the Yolobox Pro with a steady setup was helpful for you. If you check content like this in the future, definitely consider subscribing and hit that notification on the way out. Thanks for watching. Yeah.